Today, a mother who has been separated from her daughter because of a disease that took her life and sent her to the Lord's arms. How can you help other families in this situation? That's today.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. 4 minutes after the hour on this, a gorgeous day under God's good green earth. We appreciate you spending the time with us today. We know you have lots of choices in programs that you can listen to live at this hour of the day, and for whatever reason, you've given us an opportunity today to entertain you and enthrall you and enlighten you, and I hope we will today. If you're listening to this or watching it on a podcast, thank you even more. We know you have millions, literally millions of choices. You know, it's so funny. My birthday was yesterday, as we talked about. I was 54. And I can remember the day when, you know, when the president was on TV, he was on all four channels. And that was all you had. You had to watch the president because he was on ABC, CBS, NBC, and American or Iowa Public Television. And on radio, you know, you had 5 or 6 FM stations. You had 5 or 6 AM stations. And now you literally have millions of choices. And we hope and appreciate the fact that you've made us one of your choices for today. I want to introduce you to a special mom today. You know, moms are always special. I know that my mom's special to me. Most people's mothers are special to them. Mothers are anything but perfect, especially in their own eyes. I think we'd all be shocked to find out how incomplete most mothers feel they are in that role when, in fact, they make that role possible. They shine in that role. But this young lady's name is Willie Bagby. Now, what's the Willie? Is it, or aren't you going to tell me? I just got to look like you weren't supposed to ask me that. Should we just call you Willie?
Let's just put it this way. My mother was in a lot of pain when she named me, and let's leave it at Willie.
All right. So we're Willie Bagby, and you're from Des Moines here. And many years ago, you gave birth to a young, wonderful little girl by the name of Savannah. And at a certain age, she contracted, is that the right word, a disease?
I wouldn't say contracted. After autopsy, we found out that we'd given her recessive genes that caused her to have this disease. But it's not something we knew till after her autopsy. She just woke up one morning, started having unstoppable seizures, and they put her in a medically induced coma to stop damage to the brain. And then they flew her to a hospital up in St. Paul. And she was basically a mystery patient for 3 months there because they didn't know what she had. And again, like I said, they didn't know until after the autopsy what our daughter, you know, had now I wouldn't say contracted because she got it, you know, at birth.
Right.
When we passed on our, genes to her.
Sure.
But she didn't pass away from the disease. She passed away because she was a mystery patient and because they gave her toxic levels of medicines that destroyed her liver. So she died of liver failure.
And if they had known it was, and help me pronounce it correctly, mitochondrial?
Mitochondrial.
Chondrial, okay. If they had known that, then they might have been able to help her?
Well, she probably would have been at a different hospital for one because, you know, Children's in St. Paul, they deal more with epilepsy. But yeah, there were certain medicines she wasn't supposed to have because of being a mitochondrial patient. It speeds along the liver being destroyed. Certain medicines do.
And what is mitochondrial?
Well, we all have mitochondria. That's the energy our brain gives our organs.
Okay.
And if it's diseased or damaged, then they start to shut down. And different patients have different, hers was called Alpers. And Alpers and Lees are two of the deadliest mitochondrial diseases. Hers, like I said, attacked her brain, and that's where the seizure started. And, you know, to make a long story short and, you know, let you know how we were also blessed, 80% of children don't make it past the age of 2 with Alpers.
Okay.
And she didn't start having seizures till she was 17 years old, where most Alper patients start having the seizures at birth. And
So until she had her seizures at 17, you had no idea. She was just a normal, regular kid.
well, I don't want to say normal. I mean, she did have, you know, she had headaches, migraines, but,
Okay.
you know, her father had them. She had a little bit of hypoglycemia, but grandmother was a diabetic. You know, the only thing we can see when we look back to point to it is she had something called Sleeping Beauty syndrome, and which is also called, now I can't think of it, but anyway, she had where she would kind of shut down for a week, sleep a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a good thing. For those of us listening, that sounds like a wonderful thing to have, but obviously it's not when you can't control it.
Not at all. I mean, because it not only disrupted her life, but ours, because, you know, when she'd come out of that, you know, at the end of the week, she'd feel like she'd lost time. And so it was
Sure.
very disheartening.
Yeah, yeah. You're listening to Willie Bagby. She has a organization called Savannah's Hope, and her daughter at age 17, she had mitochondrial. We all have that, right?
We all have mitochondria, yes.
We all have that, but it began to affect her organs.
Her brain, yes.
All right, because she didn't contract it. She always had it.
Correct.
It just all of a sudden popped up at 17.
What we believe is at the age of 14, she was on a medicine called imipramine, which was for headaches, because she had really bad headaches. And we believe at that point her mitochondria was damaged. I mean, she was on this medicine for like a week and then started showing some signs of not feeling well and stuff that we'd read, you know, to take her back off of it. And then right after that, she went into her first what we call a shutdown, where she had, you know, the sleeping disorder, and kind of went from there. But then, you know, the sleeping episodes started disappearing. I mean, there was one time where she didn't have one for a year, another time she didn't have one for 9 months. So we actually believed, you know, she was growing out of that, which they said eventually she would.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, then all of a sudden, you know, one morning she walks into her bedroom and she's having a seizure. And, you know, we did go down to the hospital and they said epilepsy, but then they sent us home with medicine. And 2 nights later, you know, it started in and they couldn't get him to stop. So, like I said, basically they put her in a coma, and for 3 months, you know, she laid in a coma. You know, she went through all these stuff, you know, where she had she ended up with an ileostomy and a trach and a lot of different things before, you know, her liver started failing.
Did they ever bring her out of the coma?
No, they didn't. I mean,
Coma.
At the end, the last 2 weeks, they informed us, the lab would keep calling and saying that this medicine was at toxic level, or you know, another one, you know, they were constantly calling up and saying that all these medicines were at toxic level and they had to get her off them. So at that point, they took her off. It's called pentobarbital, and that's what kept her in the coma. And at that point, they did take her off. But she had also had, when she'd had these surgeries, she'd had anesthesia, and there's certain anesthesias that mitochondrial patients shouldn't have either because they won't wake up from them. And she'd had several surgeries, so we don't know to whether, you know, that had part and why she didn't wake up. But no, she never did.
She never woke up. Mm-mm. And so the last time you were able really to communicate with her was 3 months before she passed on, and that was prior to having a seizure.
We communicated with her at the hospital. I mean, she was having seizures and she wanted to get up, and, you know, I kept telling her, no, you know, you got to stay down. And so a little bit of arguing going on. So like our last conversations weren't what I'd necessarily call happy ones, but at that point you never think it's going to be the last conversation you have.
She was a little bit pesky, but you don't blame her because she was in a hospital and she wasn't feeling well and she wanted to get up and move around, and she wanted to go home.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. The other person in my studio, which you have yet to hear a peep out of, is a guy who I love his peeps. Of course, we're talking about Matt Baird with the band Spoken. And what's a rock and roller like you do hanging around with a nice-looking lady like this?
No one has ever said they liked my peeps before.
No, well, I'll be your first then. I'll be the first.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks.
Willie used to work with my wife at Wellspring years ago, and that's when we met the first time. And I remember the first time she's like, "Hey, will you play our Mito walk?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe, sure. What is it?" And it's like, my wife, being much smarter than me in every aspect, she was like, "It's an organization Savannah's Hope is an organization that Willie started." To raise awareness and to raise finances for Mito. And then that brought the whole other questions like, what's Mito, which you guys have already answered.
Yeah.
So, I played it a couple years, and, last year I had to pass it on to someone else because I was on the road. But it's something that, I myself am learning so much about too. I would never want one of my children to have to deal with it, and I don't think there's any disease that a parent can even think up that they want their child to have, So I guess over the past few years, it's just like trying to figure out how can I help? How can I, use any kind of tool that I have? And I mean, music is it's like the only tool I have, So it's just good to be a part of it. And I'm sitting here learning more than I've ever learned about it right here in the past 10 minutes. So.
Well, it's good to tell people stories. And what Matt's talking about is they're going to have Mito Java, and that's going to be this Friday, 6 to 9 o'clock at the Green Grounds Cafe, which is at 117 5th Street in West Des Moines. That's Valley Junction.
Correct.
It's a night of entertainment, food, fellowship, and fun. Music by Matt Baird and Perry Ross. Perry's a worship leader at my church, Hope. You also have a caricature artist.
We do. His name's Dwayne Murray. He's really good.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And then you have merchandise that you're going to be selling, Mito merchandise. Event tickets are just $5. Boy, you'd expect something like this to be a $50 ticket or a $40 ticket, but they're just $5 with the proceeds going to the organization called Savannah's Hope. And that's to raise awareness of this disease and to help pay for families like yourself who had expenses in being with their child as they suffered through this disease.
Correct. It's also, with insurance does pay certain things. They do help them with the flight and some of the hotel, but, what they don't pay for is one of the things is, once they get their car, so we like to help them with rental cars because, like there's 2 little girls out in Altoona that we really want to help. And they get out to Pittsburgh and they expect them to take shuttles. And when you got these 2 little girls have seizures also. And when you got 2 little girls having seizures, shuttles don't always work.
Right.
So, we want to be able to help this family and other Iowa families with traveling expenses. Another thing too, when you got sick children, they will give you money towards, eating at restaurants and stuff. But sometimes it's something as simple as they need a Walmart gift card, in order to be able to just go pick up some snacks because that's easier just to eat at the hotel. And
right.
Yeah, so any way that we can help them, be more comfortable, help with their needs and their finances, and yeah.
Is there a national organization?
The only national organization that we have worked with is United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation in Pittsburgh. And when we do have our walk in the fall, we have a walk in the fall, and now we're starting to have the Mito Job in the spring. We send part of our proceeds to the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation, but that's for research. But as far as, what we're doing with the Add a Little Hope and trying to raise money for traveling expenses, it's just us.
For families locally.
Right.
How many young people suffer from this in central Iowa or in Iowa? Do we know?
If you go out, I don't know as far as Iowa. We've met several families. But like I said, I don't know as far as Iowa. I know they say, if you got on our website, it'll say, 1 and so many, and I couldn't even give you the numbers right now, but we'll have a mitochondrial disease by the age of 10. And, I know that it is becoming more popular, not to throw, the name Bachelor out there, but they had 2 girls on that show that had a mitochondrial disease. And so, you're hearing more of it, but it's, it's not like cancer or anything.
How can you help Willie and her family and Samantha's hope? We'll talk about that when we come back. Matt Baird's in the house along with Willie Bagby, Father Tattoo producing. And I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here at webcastonelive.com.
Lead, owner, and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after the hour, 16th day of April in the Lord's year 2013. We appreciate you taking the time to listen today. My special guest is Willie Bagby. Her daughter, Savannah, has been in heaven with the Lord for 6 years now in August. And at age 17, she succumbed to Alpers, which comes from mitochondrial. Did I say that right?
You did it right.
Okay, thanks. I tried. Vocabulary isn't my strongest thing, believe it or not. And basically, until she was 17, she was a normal child. I mean, she had some headaches, but you know what kids don't, and things like that.
Correct. I mean, she really didn't fit the norm, and I think that's, one thing where we try not to hold it against the doctors, and that she was a mystery patient because, again, like I said, with what she had, 80% don't even make it past the age of 2, and where hers didn't present itself till such a late time in her life. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say late because 17 is pretty young for a child to go home, but like I said, we were blessed with extra years, and
What do you think Savannah's purpose in life was for those extra years?
I don't know. I mean, I know she loved children, and that's one of the reasons we want to help children with Mito. I mean, I believe right now she's up in heaven, still working with children. I don't know. I mean, she was just a special girl, and yeah.
You always wonder when you see or hear of stories where it was obvious in a human sense this person should have been killed in that accident, or they should not have survived this disease, or they were so young when they got this disease that it should have wiped them out. But for some reason, the good Lord keeps them long past their due date, what I call, or used by date. And many times people can pinpoint things that they did in the last few years of that life, which was perhaps clearly their purpose for being here. And it sounds like Savannah's was to work with children and be there for the little kids.
I think so.
I would imagine Jesus likes all the help he can get upstairs with all the little kids that come up there. And we won't get into pro-life issues here, but heaven's a lot more crowded than God ever intended it to be. Okay. You were going to play us a song.
Yeah, sure.
And what is this song?
I'll play a song called Promise.
Okay.
Which is probably the the most simple song ever created, because one thing that we've learned over the years with music is it's often we use too many words, or what we call wordy, and one thing that we've learned is to use less words with a bigger meaning, and so that would be what I would play, a song called Promise.
Yeah, get your guitar out, and you're going to hear Matt Baird along with Perry Ross, character artists, and more fun this Friday night, 6 to 9 o'clock at the Green Grounds Cafe at 117th and 5th in West Des Moines. Basically, that's 5th and Railroad in West Des Moines. It's again this Friday, starts at 6 to 9. Tickets are just $5, and a percentage of everything you purchase goes towards Savannah's Hope. And what does that mean? It means that families whose kids are also suffering through this difficult time have money available to them for transportation and for rental cars and airplane tickets and hotel and food and all those things that so many times burden a family when one of their children is in the hospital far away, it's tough to make financial ends meet when you're basically running two households. And so what Willie has done with Savannah's Hope is to create a fund so when another child is called to a hospital far away and the parents need to go, there are some funding there to take care of them. So, all right, Matt Baird live here on the radio on webcastonelive.com.
Yet another day seems like it's wasted. You don't feel you're any closer to the prize. A dead-end job where there's no future. Praying that tomorrow things won't be this way. Things will get better, this I promise you. And I know you won't feel this way forever. Things will get better, this I promise you. And I know loneliness won't last forever. Yet another day, another tired morning, and you're catching up to your intentions, and you're praying, and you're praying, maybe tomorrow things won't be this way. Things will get better, this I promise you. And I know you won't feel this way forever. Things will get better, this I promise you. And I know we can find a way to make it better. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Matt Baird from the band Spoken, who's been on the road lately. Man, I follow you on Facebook, and you're just all over the place.
Yeah,
You were even out of the country earlier this year.
Yeah, out of the country. We just did a tour with a band called Volbeat, which is a band from Denmark who, until 4 months ago, I had never heard of them, but they are a huge band. And, the great thing about it is, like, Spoken as a Christian band, Volbeat is absolutely not. And the fact that we were able to be on that tour for 6 weeks and to play all over the U.S. and we hit 9 different places in Canada. And I don't know, to be a part of what it is that they do, but to be able to share hope to, 3,000 people per night was out of this world. It was incredible.
Yeah. Now, do you, at the end of the night, can you determine by the reaction from the audience whether they came for you or they came for the secular band? By the way they react to you?
It's very obvious to us that anybody who knows who we are at those shows, they make sure to come up and say, hey, yeah, I've listened to you guys for years. Or, hey, on some situations, they're like, I saw that you were going to be on tour with Volbeat, so I went and I tracked you down on Facebook and listened to your music, whatever. But it's literally on a tour like that to where, the smallest crowd was 1,000 because it was at a 980 capacity theater in Montana. So it was just sold out, packed to the gills. It sold out in like 2 days or something. And then some of the arenas, they had them blocked off to where 6,000 people could be there. And so I think the most at any point, other than in Minneapolis where my wife and kids and some people I know came, 8 people in one of the nights were like, yeah, like 8 people knew who we were. Mm-hmm. The other 2,000, 3,000 each night, we were a brand new band to them. And it's not a lot of bands like ourselves that can be a band for 17 years and to tour 16 years of that playing 60 or 70% churches or Christian market and the remainder is neutral venues or bars. For us to be on that and not to play a single church at all, it was great. It was something that, did I miss being able to play a church where people cared about us? Yeah, I missed that a lot, and I can't wait to be able to do that again. It put it into perspective. Like, you're playing, for 3,000 people at an arena, they really don't give a rip about you as a human being. They might like your band. They might like talking to you afterwards, or they might, maybe they're like, hey, I haven't been to church in 20 years. I couldn't believe you said something about Jesus at the end of your set. Or there are people that are just straight up, and they're honest. They're like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe anything you believe, but I like your band. I think you guys are great. And so that opens up amazing conversations.
Sure.
And so it was something strange of where I think the same way a person who grows up in church or goes to church or starts going to church and loves it, and then they stop going for a while and they don't experience that, I don't know, that, hey, how are you? Hey, do you need anything? Hey, what's going on? I think they quickly realize, wow, I missed that family aspect, of church. And that was something that I missed out on a lot on the 6 weeks that we were on this tour. But I don't think I would have realized that unless I was on that tour.
Do you, and I don't even know what they call it anymore, FaceTime with your bride?
I don't FaceTime. We talk often, but
that's where you have a phone that has a camera in front and back, right? Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my wife's her camera is kind of on the brink right now on her phone. It was a hand-me-down from me.
Well, maybe you should get her a new phone.
It's true. I should.
You should. The Verizon store is right next door.
I have AT&T.
Well, okay. And I met your son Jackson the other day. Do you have any other children?
I have Jackson, who is 6, and Hudson, who is 1.5.
1.5. Yeah. Jackson's quite a fella.
He is quite a fella. And that toy store, catty corner from you,
dangerous place to show.
It's the talk of the town often.
I'll bet. Well, thanks for being here today, and thanks for performing on Friday night. It's this Friday night, April 19th, 6 to 9 o'clock at the Green Grounds Cafe, 117th and 5th in Valley Junction, basically 5th and Railroad. It's a night of entertainment, food, and fellowship. Matt Baird and Perry Ross will be performing. A little character artist will be there, and tickets are only $5, and it's called Savannah's Hope. Willie, do you have any? You mentioned a family in Altoona right now that you're trying to help.
Correct.
And both little girls have this?
They're twins.
And how old are they?
I think they're 9 now. We met them when they were about 5, but they're 9 now.
All right. And what's the prognosis as far as how long they'll be able to be with us here on Earth?
Don't know. I
Don't
mean,
know.
as far as, I mean, they've got a different type. You know, they don't have the Alpers or the Lees, which is the worst. But I don't know. I mean, it's just how long, I guess the Lord
Wants them to be here.
Correct.
And you will continue to raise money so families like that can spend time together on the road, at the hospital, things like that?
We will.
That's great. Now, you have a walk this fall.
We do on September 21st. Starts at 9 in the morning. We have it out in Altoona.
Okay.
Nice little walk. Last year we added 17 activities to us. It was kind of like a little carnival, too. We
Okay.
did one activity for each year that we were blessed with Savannah. And, yeah, I mean, a lot of fun. Like I said, and part of the proceeds for that, you know, a good half of it goes to the UMDF, which is the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation out in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And that's for research.
They're working to try to find a cure for it.
Well, I don't know about cure because there is no cure for
There isn't.
There is
Okay.
no cure for mitochondrial disease, but they are working on, you know, what's the best way to treat it. And
Make the patient more comfortable?
correct.
All right. Well, I thank you for being here today.
Appreciate you having me.
So blessed to have you come down, and you're hanging around with a good guy over here, you know.
He was a pretty good guy.
Yeah, he is. For those of you who have been listening to Restoring Hope, it goes national this Sunday, and Matt sings the refrain
Sure.
and the chorus. That's not the same thing, is it? Refrain.
I don't know.
Well, you wrote the song for Restoring Hope, the theme song, and we'll check that out. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you. When we come back, what happened at the Boston Marathon yesterday, and how do we as Christians react? It's all the buzz. It's your voice I want to hear. We'll talk about it next, live here on 99.3 KTIA, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 3:38:22 before the top. Salem Radio Network News will update us on the latest news, including the Boston Marathon terrorist attack, if that's what it's being called as of right now. I'm checking the latest stats. This is as of 16:20 Eastern time, so that would be 2:20 our time.
Is that right? Yeah, I think it's 2:20 our time.
So this is pretty updated stuff. It's within the hour. Security experts say the deadly bomb attack in the Boston Marathon yesterday has left 3 dead. If you're just hearing that for the first time, that was up this morning from 2 to 3. Someone who had been critically injured passed through, and 176 wounded. That number is way up from yesterday, highlighting what may be a growing threat to American cities, the use of IEDs to target large gatherings, inflicting mass damage with a device that is difficult to detect. They have now discovered that pressure cookers were used to deliver deadly bomb payloads. All of those those 2 bombs were loaded with BBs, ball bearings, nails, sharp metal objects, and they were caused to explode. I don't know if you saw the picture. I mean, we all basically saw the same pictures from 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon on until now. I haven't watched television today since probably around 11. So maybe there's some new pictures, but it's all the same one. It's where the people are coming across the finish line. I think the clock says 4:09, 4 hours and 9 minutes, or maybe it was 4 hours and 6 minutes. And the bomb blast comes in the upper right. The ladies in yellow are shocked. They turn around. The old guy walking by it stumbles and falls. I never did hear whether he was hit with anything. 2 interesting things that I've heard from the talking heads. One was that if you notice the bomb smoke, the smoke from the bomb, do you remember what the color was as it rose up from the explosion? It was white, which told them that this is what they call a clean bomb. In other words, it's done by plastic explosives, same stuff used in IEDs. It was not TNT. It was not kerosene. It was not a black bomb, which tells the FBI investigators that it's probably more of a sophisticated bomb. Number 2, and this was, I thought, real surprising, and depending on what news you watch, they may or may not have pointed this out. I only heard one reporter point this out, but literally, thank you, Father Tattoo, putting some pictures up on the screen now. Literally, in back of where the bomb went off, when the first bomb that went off, in the back of it, and what I mean by the back of it, 6 foot behind, not 60 foot, 6 foot behind, there was a pane of glass that had not been shattered that was in this restaurant, which tells them the second issue, that the bombs were planned to blow forward to hurt the people that were standing in front of it. The third one was there was a second bomb. People say anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds later. I heard one FBI expert say that was that is a terrorist objective, that you explode one bomb, people are frantic and they are running, and they run towards the next bomb. And then when that bomb goes off, you've got people terrorized because they're caught between 2 explosions. The one FBI expert that was on Fox last night about, 9:30 or something like that, is just right before I went to bed, made the comment that usually a terrorist would leave more time in between those 2 bombs to create a larger crowd rushing away from the first bomb and rushing where they didn't know the second bomb would implode. But either way, it was not a simultaneous blast. It was a planned blast. It seems anything but domestic. Obviously, kind of like when we saw the first plane go into the Twin Towers, everybody wondered what was going on. Was it an accident? Was this just a suicide? Was it what was? And then we saw that second plane come in, and there wasn't a person on earth that didn't know at that point that this was an act of international terrorism. Now, whether this will be international terrorism, what does that mean? Someone with a dark skin planted it? Is that we're not that naive, are we? I mean, you have to remember that McVeigh, who imploded the building, the Murrah building in Oklahoma City, he was a white guy who loved his country and hated his government, which there have been those that are called patriots all of our history since the mid-1500s in this country. It was a term actually used in the East Coast in the Salem era when the Salem witch trials were going on, that a patriot was actually a bad thing. Because you were one that would go against the government. And there were many patriots who also have Christian origin who were very much against these women and men being put to death in that era because they, quote unquote, were determined a witch by a church council. And people who were equally in love with Jesus and had a faith like Paul's said, no, you're killing these people with no good reason. It's just your superstition. It's just your funniness. And many times they were called patriots. And so McVeigh was nothing more to many people than a patriot. I wouldn't have called him that. I would have called him a terrorist. I would have said that he killed way too many Americans, including children, and that he deserved to die as he did, like the dirty dog that he was. But there are too many of those in this United States that would tell you that he was a patriot. He was fighting against the push of the government to continue to impose restrictions and anti-privacy issues on us. Perhaps we'll find that the person that exploded this bomb also considers him or herself a patriot. And they used what day? Patriots Day. The first Monday of the month, or not the first Monday, but this Monday in April is called Patriots Day in Boston. In fact, it's a day off for the state of Boston for all federal and government workers. And it's a day that if you're a runner, you look forward to, you take off, maybe you run part of the marathon, maybe you don't. Realize 26,000 people were running in that race. I mean, that's bigger than Marshalltown. Okay, that's huge. 26,000 people were running in that race. Certainly not to the tragedy of the people who have lost lives, including the little 2-year-old girl that was murdered, and the 176 that were harmed, but all the people that didn't get to finish the race, who were just there to run with their dad or run with their mother or run with their best friend or to run for causes like we heard about Savannah's Hope a little bit ago. They could have easily had a team of people running in the Boston Marathon. 26 miles is the Boston Marathon, which means the police had to look out for more than 52 miles of sidewalks, plus however deep it got. But that's 52 miles that the police had to monitor. And I don't know if they've completely determined it yet or not, but they feel that this bomb was simply placed in a backpack. I know on Fox, I think it was, somebody showed pictures along the sidewalk near the end of the race where bag upon bag upon bag upon bag upon bag were piled onto the street because people who were running would bring their bag to the finish line. And then they'd run the race, and their bag would already be there, and that'd be their OJ and their towel and their clothes and their keys. And so to find a bag sitting by the side of the finish line was not only uncommon, it was common. It was expected. So the fact that somebody used that as the placement of the bomb to kill so many people, it doesn't surprise anybody. We're at about 12 before the hour. Salem Radio Network News will hit us at the top of the hour and update us on all of this. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the Boston Marathon and what you are thinking about the tragedy in Boston and what will it mean to this country. That's coming up next, live here on WebcastOneLive.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ten before the hour, we are live here on WebcastOneLive.com or 99.3 WOW FM, or 99.3 KTIA. My brain was on a little trip there, wasn't it? Facebook, of course, has blown up with the thing in Boston. People producing pictures and, you know, dreaming about you and thinking about you. And I saw one earlier today that Iowa loves, Boston, and showed the beautiful picture of the water area there next to the city. And, the question is, what should we as Christians be saying about this tragedy? And does it matter that we're Christians? I made a joke last night. We had our Bible study last night, and I made a joke that I think we ought to probably ban those assault cell phones because they have determined that the trigger mechanism for these bombs was a cell phone. And if you've watched enough movies, you know how this works. Every cell phone creates an electronic impulse or an it's rung. So you tie in a fuse to that electronic impulse, and then you call the cell phone, and when the cell phone has you calling it, it triggers that impulse, and that implodes the bomb. And obviously with cell phones, you can do this from hundreds and hundreds of miles away, with the fact that there were so many people standing around and a bag sitting by the side of the road would not have been unusual at the finishing line of the Boston Marathon. The culprits could have been already out of state, already gone. That bag could have been sitting there all day long and would have gone unnoticed and unchecked. You better believe that the next Boston Marathon, maybe even this London Marathon this weekend, there won't be any bags placed at the finish line. They'll be required to, I don't know what you'll be required to do. Run with your bag, I guess? I don't know. But you were mentioning, Father Tattoo, something about Job. In the book of Job, it talked about situations like this.
Well, in the book of Job, of course, we know that, this isn't an instructional thing. This is just a ponderance here. So this is for us to dissect a little bit in the last few minutes. The book of Job, when all those bad things happened to Job, the house collapsed on his family. His livestock were killed in horrible, is it storms that caused those? I'm a little fuzzy on what happened to livestock, but basically everything was taken from Job. All Job's friends gathered around, and after 7 days, they began to talk to Job about these things. And I wonder if, I'm not suggesting we literally follow the 7-day thing, but I wonder if rather than making assumptions as to what happened and put our feet in our mouth or propagate things that didn't happen, like I know some people are saying, oh, this is a conservative nut job that did this, like Timothy McVeigh, which it very well could be. I mean, it's got some signs. And there are on the other side, there's people, oh, this is, part of this Afghan, Pakistan, Al-Qaeda kind of attack on us, and which it could be. It's got the signs. We should just kind of let the evidence flush out a little bit more and have time to really think about it. Is kind of the idea that I would take out of that story is, give us time to really think about how this affects us, what we can do. And in the meantime, just pray and mourn with the people, because 100, how many did you say? 140?
76.
176. Yesterday they were thinking only 30.
Yeah, injured.
Yeah. Thankfully the death number went clear down, because they were thinking 10 people were going to die from their injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like, we might have seen the last 3, which is, I'm absolutely horrified any died, but that this only killed 3 people is amazing.
Well, I unfortunately saw a picture that I wish I could get out of my head of a man being wheeled in a wheelchair and had nothing below the knees.
Oh man!
It was just, and they'd had.
Yeah, there's I saw there's 10 to 20 amputees or something like that. I mean,
and that's the other way. Whoever made this bomb, they not only made it so it wouldn't blow 360, so it wouldn't blow back into the building.
Sure.
They blew it only forward, but they also blew it low.
Yeah.
So it would impact the bottom of people, not necessarily the tops of them.
I mean, to me, it's so disgusting. But so the idea of the Job conversation is how do we respond to this? And so we mourn with these people, because the first thing we don't want to do is the families that are suffering from this horrible attack, whether they're suffering because their husband or wife or daughter or son lost their leg or was severely injured, or whether they lost the person completely in the case of the 3 that died, rather than worry about, is this God's response to him? Because some people, like Katrina, oh, this is God, and they really blame. My thought is let's just mourn with them and pray for them and try to be helpful in those situations rather than to speculate. Is I guess where I was kind of going with that, and that kind of sounds like something. Quite frankly, I think you would kind of go alongside. Like that was kind of what you're saying. We don't really know what happened.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what hit me. And I'm a journalist freak, and
sure,
I like to measure time and think about what things were like when my grandfather was alive, and think about things when my cousin was alive, and how things have changed. And I heard a commentary on this yesterday from Tom Brokaw, who was actually on with Brian. What's Brian's name? On NBC.
Sure, Brian
Williams.
Williams. There you go. Yeah.
Tom Brokaw said, "I knew I'd see it in my lifetime." Where we used to look at this, and this would happen in the streets of Bangladesh, or in the streets of Iran, or in the streets of Baghdad, or in the streets of Syria, or Jordan, or Israel. And now we've just seen it here in America. And when will it not consume our media moments after it happens? I was a big space flight guy. And every time we'd have a space shuttle, an Apollo shuttle or space shuttle go off, man, all the TV stations would cover it and it'd be a big deal. Last 10 years, rockets went off and nobody even thought about it. It was an afterthought. On the evening news. And to end up today, another rocket fired into the moon. Boo, 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 boo. We've been on nonstop 24-hour alert in Boston since this happened about 26 hours ago. How long until it's not headline breaking? How long until it's common in the streets of our major cities, or even in Des Moines? How long until we have bombs going off? How are we going to allow these terrorists to impact our lives by not being able to carry a backpack or being afraid to walk to work or standing on the side of the state fair parade in Iowa? How long until all that's gone? I grew up with standing on the side of parades and never thinking I was going to get hurt. And now there's a whole generation that thinks about standing on the side of a marathon and being blown up. An entire generation that will never have the peace and the comfort and the safety that you and I have, because that's the way we grew up. So for all those people in Boston, for you, for your family, for Father Tattoo, for the folks at the Truth Network, all we can do is the number one thing we should be doing. Just pray.